Hey, today I'm going to try to build a Gorkanaut / Morkanaut using a limited time frame. I wanted to see how much scrap I could use since my scrap box was kind of getting a little too big. But with that being said, let's get started. So it was about 6:26 p.m. I figured that'd be a good start time after setting everything up and give me enough wiggle room to get everything done. First thing, grabbed my scrap box, a bunch of sprues and some leftover stuff. I have this computer fan that my friends gave me. They actually gave me two of them. I might use the other one in a future project, but they gave me the inspiration for a really fast Gorkanaut, which they have a relic thing in the game 40k where it gives some extra movement, so I was like, that's what we're running with. I also grabbed some little cardboard strips. It's actually came from a board game called Dixit, where it gives you little, tokens. After test fitting the pieces, I hot glued them onto the side of the fan one by one, just to make sure they would align properly in the middle. Once the glue cooled down, I reinforced the sides and joined them at the middle. Now that everything's cooled, we have the torso of the Gorkanaut built, and we can continue on to the next step. Using these cardboard clippers that I found online, I cut out the top of the body as well as the icon that's going to go on the front and cut the icon in half. I found these bits in my bits box from a WAAAGH kit that I figured would work really well with the aesthetic we're going for a super fast orc bot that's running right in your face turn 1. I also glued on some wheels to make him even faster. I glued on some random bits for a headpiece, and these side panels would work good for a hood, and luckily I had 3 of them. Using some cardboard cutoffs, I made some teeth and glued them onto the head. Then I glued together all the side panels, adding a backing cardboard piece for the back part of the hood. I grabbed the icon and cut out some more chipboard that we're going to use as paneling for the front of the Gorkanaut. First I test fit everything just to make sure the size was okay. As you can see, this one was a little over. I ended up just trimming it down some more. Once I trimmed it down, I used the marker to create some grid marks, for the paneling. I wanted to make sure the paneling looked different, like they just grabbed a bunch of scrap and just welded it together. Once I cut out all the bits, I slowly started hot gluing them to the front. Then once that was done, I used super glue for the gaps where the marker would be, and then threw on some baking soda to make weld marks. After hot gluing the head, the hood, the tops, and the sides, I threw on some more paneling just to break it up a little bit, make it look a little more scrappy. Now on to the more complicated part. I have this piping from Home Depot that I found for like 25 cents. Threw on some cogs, and then I had this rubber chain link thing that I was going to use to make a wrecking ball. But for that, we need a ball. I got some green stuff and rolled it up together, and then I used clips from a sprue and just shoved it in there, waited for it to dry. I glued on some gun arms to one side just to make my life a little easier, but here's how it turned out so far. I also glued on the wings, so as you can see, it's starting to come together. I found another plumbing bit that I added to the back as like an exhaust, which I thought was kind of cool. Now that everything was glued down, I used Mod Podge to try to cover all of the cardboard and seal it, so that once it dried, I could try to prime over it. At this point, it was getting a little late. I figured I'd just prime it tomorrow morning and see what happens. So I woke up the next day and spray primed this gray, but I forgot that the back was not Mod Podge where the fan was at, so I had to do that, waste more time, reprime it with some black and some rusty primer that I had. Next, I grabbed a bunch of craft paint. I also used some GW paint too, and some P3 paint. Just kind of grabbed anything that would match what I wanted to paint. I hit the body and the wings with a metallic red craft paint, everything else with gunmetal, then dry brushed everything with a silver. We're making some progress with the setbacks, but let's continue on. I didn't like how dark the red was, so I used some Caribou Crimson on the red, as well as using Typhus Corrosion for some dirty parts, and also hit it with a homemade black wash in areas that needed it. After that, I painted the base brown, and you could see everything else looks kind of messy, kind of gross, but we're going to fix that later. Waited for the base to dry so I can apply a texture paint that we're going to make. So I grabbed some sand, some Mod Podge, and a khaki colored paint. Mix that around with a bamboo skewer thing that we have for kebabs. Once that was done, I applied it onto the base, and then using the sharp part of the bamboo skewer, I made little cracks into the ground. Here's how it looked after the terrain paste dried. I was liking it. I hit some more pieces with some more silver to make it less grimy, but it wasn't red enough, so we needed to fix that. I grabbed some corn red and this Tamiya weathering powder that I used on the metallic weapon parts. After painting some panels and the head again, it looked way redder and it pops a lot more. I was really digging how it looked. I went back to the terrain paste and decided to add some more on different parts just to kind of give it more of an uneven finish. Now I grabbed some Nun oil and hit some more metallic parts that needed it, as well as the base, which kind of took a really long time to dry. I wasn't expecting it. We were already cutting it close, about 2 hours away. Now it was in Gork or Mork's hand. Once the base was dry enough, I hit it with a light brown, and also touched up some bits of the metal to break it up a little bit, which I forgot to record, but I hit some pieces with copper again and some gold as well for the eyeball. I was about an hour away from my end goal, just enough time to color the tires as well as the trim of the base and throw some blood on here. Now that the model was done, I tried to get a 360 view, but unfortunately my rotating display stand's battery died, and we had no replacement batteries in the house. So we just took some pictures. As always, I had a lot of fun with this project, and it also saved me a lot of money because I think the regular model is about $80-ish, and this was free and looks just as orky. If you guys like what you see, please subscribe if you haven't yet, drop a like or leave a comment. I appreciate any good feedback, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.